Have you noticed how a man's eyes change after he gives into desire? Not just from tiredness or guilt, but that dimming of spirit, that collapse of something sacred inside him. It's the same look in men scrolling endlessly through dating apps, chasing matches they'll never meet. The same look in those who wake after meaningless nights, wondering why victory feels like defeat. It's the slow erosion of will, disguised as freedom. We were told pleasure is liberation. That expressing every instinct makes us modern. That denying urges makes us repressed. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if the man who cannot master his lust is not free at all? What if he's enslaved not by women or society, but by his own biology? How can a man conquer the world when he cannot even conquer his hand? How can he lead when he collapses to the first whisper of temptation? Somewhere along the line, man forgot what his energy meant. He traded discipline for indulgence and mistook pleasure for power. That single inversion has made men weaker than ever. Pythagoras once said, "Lust is the chain that binds the mortal to the dust." He and his students practiced abstinence not from hatred of pleasure, but from respect for its cost. They believed sexual energy wasn't just the urge to reproduce, it was the fire of creation itself. To waste it was to drain the fuel of thought, leadership, and transformation. To the ancients, semen was more than fluid, it was will distilled. The sacred oil of the masculine essence. When conserved, it sharpened mind, voice, and aura. When wasted, it dulled everything. Modern men mock this idea, call it superstition. But look around, who's winning? The monk who could sit in silence for days? Or the modern man who can't last 24 hours without release? The ancients built pyramids and epics. The modern man builds OnlyFans subscriptions. We call ourselves free, yet we're slaves to the glow, to the curves on a screen. The cruelest part? We don't even see the cage because it feels like pleasure. Lust isn't the enemy, it's the test. The same force that creates life can also destroy purpose. It's not evil, it's energy. But like electricity, if you don't channel it, it burns you. The world is built to keep you burning. Every scroll, ad, and algorithm is a seduction machine hijacking your biology. They've turned your instincts into an economy. Porn, dating apps, influencer culture, all profit from one weakness: your inability to say no. Because a man who can't say no can be sold anything. He trades time, focus, and destiny for a dopamine hit. Do you think that's an accident? No. It's design and empire built on your indulgence. The modern man was taught that control is repression. But Pythagoras, the Stoics, even Nietzsche knew control is creation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Today, men have power over neither. Their minds belong to algorithms, their bodies to appetite. They scroll, release, repeat, calling it freedom, when it's dependency. The tragedy isn't weakness, it's numbness. Men think exhaustion is normal, mediocrity is peace, comfort is happiness. They're drained by invisible hands, by pixels, and impulses that steal their spirit. Every release feels like relief, but is surrender. Every indulgence feels like a win, but is withdrawal from their own power. Vitality isn't just physical. It's in the eyes, the voice, the stance. When retained, there's glow and charge. When wasted, something dies. You see it in the mirror. That emptiness isn't guilt. It's your body mourning betrayal. The world says, indulge, be yourself, follow your desires. But what if those desires aren't even yours? What if they're programmed by the very system that profits from your downfall? The moment you think you're choosing, you're already controlled. Choice without discipline is chaos wearing a crown. Freedom isn't saying yes to everything, it's being able to say no. Most men can't. Their yes is automatic, their no doesn't exist. They call it masculinity when they chase, but addiction isn't conquest. Real masculinity is restraint. When a man can walk away, master hunger, and turn lust into focus, the world bends around him. That's when other men respect him. That's when women notice him, not because he chases, but because he doesn't. Energy withheld becomes power radiated. Once, men trained their will as warriors train their bodies. Celibacy was refinement, not repression. Monks, philosophers, and kings knew, if you can't master your seed, you can't master your soul. Taoist masters called it Jing essence of life. Hindu sages called it Ojas spiritual strength. Schopenhauer called it the will to life, the force behind existence. To waste it was to lose alignment with purpose. But the industrial age reprograms man. It turned warriors into workers, philosophers into consumers. It told them, pleasure is progress, indulgence is identity. And man believed it because the new God wasn't truth, it was comfort. Now we live among men drowning in pleasure, yet starving for fulfillment. Endless distraction, no satisfaction. They feel tired after doing nothing, seek validation from strangers, forget how to feel alive. Each mindless release drains not just energy, but direction. Purpose needs tension. Drive needs hunger. Without it, what's left? A man who cannot hold his energy, cannot hold his destiny, he leaks both. That's why so many drift chasing women, but truly seeking themselves. The version they lost when they stopped fighting their impulses. So the question is this: when did you last feel alive, truly alive? When did your blood last burn with purpose instead of pleasure? When did your eyes last see clearly, not clouded by lust? Because every time you choose lust over control, you kill a piece of yourself. But every time you hold it, you are reborn, sharper, calmer, stronger. You begin to feel that ancient fire again, the same fire that built civilizations, led armies, carved mountains. It's still in you, buried, waiting. And the first step to reclaiming it is to stop giving it away. But now what? Because the truth is, retention is only the beginning. The real transformation begins when you learn to turn pressure into purpose. Every man who chooses discipline over desire feels the same thing, a rising current inside him. It's not just hormonal, it's existential. Your body begins to treat you differently. Your voice deepens, your eyes sharpen, your thoughts gain weight. You feel that ancient hum of power, the one your ancestors lived by and the modern world forgot. This is not mysticism. This is biology meeting spirit. Inside you, life is being forged, billions of cells, each a spark of potential existence. That energy isn't meant to be wasted, it's meant to be wielded. Your seed carries not only genes, but symbolic power, the condensed essence of your drive to create. When you release compulsively, you burn the fuel of creation on momentary pleasure. When you hold it, that fuel converts. Your body recycles it. The energy that could have left as life becomes internal power, focus, ambition, and clarity. It's as if nature rewards restraint with strength. Science echoes this. Abstinence boosts testosterone, dopamine sensitivity, and neural drive. The ancients already knew. Pythagoras saw sexual energy as the bridge between man's animal and divine nature. Taoists called it Jing, refined into Qi, mastered as Shen, spirit. To them, semen was sacred voltage. The man who mastered it became luminous. The one who wasted it, dim. Retention is pressure, and pressure is potential. At first, it burns. The body rebels. The mind screams. The animal wants its fix. But if you endure, that pressure begins to rise. It climbs the spine like fire, through a sealed pipe, turning lust into focus, desire into direction. This is the fire of will, the same force that fuels invention, poetry, conquest, and genius. The artist turns ache into art. The warrior turns hunger into discipline. The leader turns restraint into vision. Every great man carried this shadow of control. Leonardo da Vinci spoke of sublimating the senses into intellect. Tesla said, celibacy sharpened imagination. Even Napoleon claimed, control of self is control of empire. They knew the law. The man who owns his energy owns his reality. Today, men mock this truth. They call it toxic or outdated. Yet those same men can't focus for 10 minutes, can't build what they dream of. They think exhaustion is from work, but it's from waste. They think anxiety is from life, but it's from imbalance. Each release dulls dopamine, the molecule of motivation. Each indulgence blurs the hunger for challenge. Soon he's chasing stimulation instead of creation. That's why modern men look alive, but feel dead engines on fumes, all noise, no movement. The shift begins when you stop seeing retention as denial and start seeing it as alchemy. You're not repressing, you're refining. That same current can be lifted and turned into higher vitality. Meditate with it, train with it, create with it. Let it become motion, art, business, faith. Because what you hold isn't meant to sit idle, it's meant to evolve. When you retain, you teach your body mastery. Every heartbeat says, I am in control. Every decision says, I choose purpose over pleasure. And soon, people sense it. There's a quiet authority in your presence, not arrogance, but gravity. Men who conserve their fire radiate certainty. The world can't fake. Look at dating today, endless swiping, endless emptiness. Most men chase validation from women who are also empty. They think confidence comes from conquest, but it comes from containment. The man who doesn't chase doesn't tremble. He doesn't beg or seek approval. His worth isn't outsourced to lust. That's why disciplined men become magnetic. They glow differently, speak slower, move with certainty. Because their energy is collected, not scattered across pixels and strangers. Schopenhauer called it the will to life, the blind force driving all beings to reproduce. He believed sex was life's trick, the will using the individual to continue the species. Resisting lust was rebellion against nature's tyranny. A man who rises above his instincts escapes biological hypnosis. When you retain, you reclaim authorship over your own evolution. You stop being a pawn of the species and become a player in destiny. This is masculine spirituality. Enlightenment isn't escape from the body, it's dominion over it. To master lust is to master the bridge between beast and God. Retention isn't about counting days, it's about counting victories. Each temptation resisted proves you rule yourself. You feel alive in a way modern men forgot, heavy with strength, light with purpose, dangerous with clarity. When the fire rises, the world sharpens, colors brighten, breath deepens. That's not placebo, that's potential returning home. And this is where the journey truly begins. Because energy without direction is chaos. You've learned to hold it, now you must aim it. Because the man who masters his energy can change his world. But the man who directs it can change the world itself. You've learned to hold your energy. You've felt the power rise. But now comes the question. Why was it stolen from you in the first place? Why does every system around you push you to waste it? Why is lust so easy to find and purpose so hard? Why is the modern world flooded with stimulation, yet starving for meaning? Because somewhere, someone realized a dangerous truth. A man who masters his desire cannot be controlled. Every empire knows this truth. You don't conquer strong men with swords, you conquer them with pleasure. The Romans knew it, the Persians knew it, corporations know it now. If you can keep a man chasing, you never need chains. He'll walk into the cage smiling, calling it paradise. That's the modern trap, turning biology into a leash. Every scroll, every ad, every app whispers, asterisk, you deserve it, asterisk, instant reward, no patience, no struggle, no meaning. What feels like freedom is sedation. The modern man drowns in dopamine porn, fast food, endless screens, yet starves for satisfaction. He calls it stress relief, but it's surrender. He calls it self-care, but it's self-erasure. Seneca warned, asterisk, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Asterisk. Today, men are everywhere, but present nowhere. Their attention scattered, their will dissolved. Masculinity redefined not by men, but by markets. Worth measured in followers, not foundations. Hunger redirected from empire building to pixels and fantasy. The porn industry is the new priesthood, social media the new battlefield, dating apps the new casino. You think you're hunting, but you're being hunted, your biology sold back to you as entertainment. They feed you indulgence because they fear your discipline. A disciplined man can't be bribed, seduced, or steered. That's why modern culture worships pleasure and mocks restraint. Because a man who restrains himself cannot be owned. They say you're free to watch, to spend, to release. But freedom without purpose is slavery with a smile. The screen is your mirror, teaching you how to crave and destroy yourself. The algorithm knows your weakness better than you do. You think you act from desire, but desire acts through you. You think you consume, but you are being consumed. The serpent no longer hides in gardens. It hides in your pocket. Look around. Testosterone plummets. Attention collapses. Depression rises. Men grow weaker not by genetics, but surrender. Every indulgence obeyed rewires the mind to expect ease. And a man who expects ease will never crave greatness again. He doesn't build, he scrolls. He doesn't lead, he follows. He doesn't conquer, he copes. And then he wonders why he feels hollow. Nietzsche warned, asterisk, be careful, lest in casting out your devils, you cast out what is best in you. Asterisk. Modern man has done exactly that, trading his fire for comfort. Watch the media, strength mocked as toxic, discipline called controlling. But impulsiveness is crowned as authenticity. This isn't progress, it's programming. Strip man of discipline, and you strip him of power. So society applauds the tamed man, the one who never says no, who obeys his desires instead of mastering them. He's easy to sell to, easy to control, easy to forget. But a new breed is rising quiet, disciplined, dangerous. They reject the noise, the indulgence, the endless stimulation. They've seen what happens when you surrender and they refuse. You were never weak, never broken, only drained. You were taught to waste your power, scattering it across screens and strangers. But that energy is your kingdom's key. Every great man, warrior, prophet, creator faced the same serpent, the urge to trade purpose for pleasure. Those who chose mastery became immortal. Because when you stop being led by lust, you stop being led at all. That is freedom, not indulgence, but command. True masculinity begins with dominion over self. The man who commands his energy commands his destiny. This is our rebellion, not in wars or parliaments, but in silence, in bedrooms, in the battle for attention and will. They want you chasing, releasing, obeying, because every time you do, you lose voltage, presence, and power. But when you stop, when you retain and refocus, you become what the modern world can't understand. A man who doesn't need. He builds, not scrolls. Leads, not follows. Commands, not begs. Every civilization falls the same way. Men stop fighting their inner battles. Comfort replaces conquest. Pleasure replaces purpose. But now, a few remember. Strength is silence under temptation. Confidence is calm resistance. Discipline is refined power. Each day you hold your energy, you sharpen the sword again. Each not today forges armor from will. The ancient kings weren't powerful for ruling nations, but for ruling themselves. They mastered lust, appetite, tongue, mind, and became untouchable. Strip them of wealth, they stayed unshaken. Because power drawn from within cannot be stolen. That is retention, sovereignty of spirit. To declare, Asterisk. I choose power over pleasure, mastery over madness, myself over everything else. Asterisk. Hold that choice long enough, and you'll feel vision replacing distraction, purpose replacing emptiness. The king returns not to dominate, but to build. Not to rule others, but himself. Ask yourself, what will your legacy be? Pleasure or purpose? Because every man must decide whether to serve his urges or to master them. Only one path builds empires that outlive the flesh. You don't kill the fire, you command it. And when you do, lust becomes lightning. In a world built on indulgence, self-control is rebellion. Every time you choose silence over scrolling, purpose over pleasure, progress over release, you burn the invisible empire that feeds on your weakness. You're not just retaining fluid, you're retaining fire, drive, clarity, danger. Your mind sharpens, your instincts clear, your words gain weight. Men who stop reacting start ruling. That's rebellion, to face a world drowning in stimulation and whisper, "Not me, I'm not for sale." Eventually, the urge is quiet. The body obeys the mind. Energy that once pulled you down rises like light through your spine. You feel connected to something ancient, the current that pulsed through warriors, monks, prophets. It's not mysticism, it's remembrance, alignment with nature's order, power through restraint. You no longer chase beauty, you emanate it. You no longer crave women, they feel your presence. You no longer seek meaning, it flows through you. This is transcendence, not beyond manhood, but its highest form, the divine masculine, the union of flesh and will. And then, you see lust was never your enemy, but your teacher, showing what you could be once mastered. So, to every man watching, listen. Two paths stand before you. One leads to the loop of lust, release, regret, a life of half-built dreams. The other leads to awakening power, discipline, peace. The path is simple, not easy. The real war is fought within your own skin. Every day you hold back, you win. Every moment you choose purpose, you rise. Each temptation conquered carves victory into your soul. The world needs those victories now. When men rise, families strengthen, cultures rebuild, futures heal. So rise, reclaim your energy, master your desire, let your silence thunder louder than words. This is not just retention, it's rebellion, resurrection, the return of the masculine. If this spoke to you, you already know what to do. You are not alone in this fight. Join the brotherhood of men waking up and rebuilding themselves. Subscribe, share, and spread this message. The world needs awake men, not addicted ones. Every new subscriber is another man choosing mastery over mediocrity. Together, we'll rewrite what it means to be a man. So click subscribe, brother. Let's build a world where strength, clarity, and willpower rule again, where men remember the ancient truth. The greatest power a man can ever possess is control over himself.